Joining me now is Jim Townsend, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for European and NATO Policy. Good morning, and thank you so much for being with us. So what do you make of this strike? Do you see this as an escalation, an act of aggression, or, as Belarus is saying, a mistake?
Well, I don't see this as a mistake. That's the easy one. I see this as definitely an escalation. He's testing NATO. He's testing the United States and all the NATO allies. He's also trying to test our reaction. What would we do if he were to do this again, maybe over Estonia? This is all calculated. This is not something that was a mistake or something that we can just say, well, don't do this again. We're in a different place now, and we need to respond more strongly than we have to date.
What's the risk and the reward for Putin?
Well, I don't think he's got much of a risk. I think that's kind of what he's trying to determine here. And in the past, certainly, he hasn't had to pay much of a price or take much of a risk of some type of punishment on him. And so I think there is not much risk to him. And the reward is he's continuing to build this feeling of insecurity in Europe and within the alliance, in Ottawa as well as in Washington. We're all in this together. And so he's building this feeling of insecurity. He's building this feeling of not being able to stop Russia, of scaring everyone. And he's also getting a feel for what the air defense is like over Poland concerning drones. And the fact that they were only able to take down a handful is not a good sign. They're going to have a big exercise in Belarus called Zapad. It's getting ready to start. And that's part of this, too. It's to really scare Europe into thinking that it's quite vulnerable to Russia. And that's something that's going to echo around the alliance that both Canada and the U.S. are going to have to deal with.
And it's worth noting that we haven't heard a peep from President Trump on this morning. And the questions will be asked once again. What was the point of having the Alaska summit? What are you going to do about sanctions? What are you watching for when we do, and eventually we will hear from Trump today?
Well, you're absolutely right. This has been something that's concerned me quite a bit. We've heard from our NATO ambassador who said something very vanilla. I think right now Washington and the administration is trying to figure out what should they say, because right now, as you pointed out, we have been on this course of talking to Putin, welcoming him to Alaska, doing all of these things that are not painful at all to Russia, and so now we are as plain as the nose on our face, quite frankly, of what Putin is up to. And for Trump, that means he's going to have to, maybe turn 180 degrees in another direction. He's going to have to be tough now on Putin with sanctions, or maybe deploying a squadron of aircraft to Poland to help with their air defense, or something that he has not wanted to do in the past. He's faced with these kinds of decisions. He leads the alliance. He's got to take the alliance into an area where we can be tougher on Russia, making sure that risk that you talked about is there. Right now, I don't think Putin feels at risk to do whatever he seems to want.
My final question then for you is around NATO and what they do next. Obviously, this provocation in Poland has led them to bring Article 4 to NATO members. That means that they're going to have an emergency meeting. If an investigation shows that, in fact, these were Russian missiles or drones, then what happens? Does it automatically trigger Article 5?
There's no automaticity to Article 5. So you're right about Article 4. I think it's been invoked. I think they've met already once, I think. So there are consultations ongoing right now with Poland and the allies. The alliance is going to have to determine whether they're going to do something more than just issue a statement. The Secretary General, as we saw in your reporting, has already said his piece. Will the alliance as an institution say something else as well? Will we do something? I mentioned maybe deploy some more aircraft to Poland or Patriot missiles or something like that. Is that something that we might do? But it won't be necessarily in Article 5. I don't think the alliance could get consensus on that. And as you know, Hungary or Slovakia could come online and veto whatever the other allies might want to do. So something like Article 5, it probably isn't appropriate to this, number one. Number two, I don't think they could get consensus. But number three, if what you point out happens and they've been able to report a lot of facts that point to Russia, say this was done on purpose, then the alliance is faced with a decision about what will we do in return besides make a statement. Is there something more that we can show Russia that we're not going to stand for this? And because we've got to deter him, and we can't deter him very well with just making statements.
Jim, we're going to leave it there for this morning. Really appreciate your time and your analysis.